Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today we're going to be playing with, we're playing with felt today. I'm playing with a new die set. Actually, I've got a couple of them. Don't know how much I'll get done in this video, but I'm starting off with this one that creates a plushie, or I'm actually going to be making a candy cane ornament out of felt using the new dies that just came out from Spellbinders. This is, I believe, Nicol Sphor's brainchild, so you're gonna love it. So starting off with die cutting, Spellbinders also has felt, so you can get some of the felt, and I know that's what Nicole's been using. I'm also using a precision base plate. So far, this is the only way I've been able to get it to cut through cleanly. And I'm doing everything cutting face up to try to make it so that nothing really warps as badly, because this plate is old and it is definitely getting there. It's like the plastic part is warping where the metal part is not. Anyway, I'm just going to run that through. And it is a little stiff in there because it is thicker, right? You've got the precision base plate that adds that extra pressure. All the things, and let's take a look. So here we go, and yeah, it die cut pretty much perfect. It looks like there's a little tiny bit that didn't want to let go. Now this first felt that I'm using is a stiffer felt. I wound up having to get different kinds because of different because of the colors that I wanted to get. And then we've got all our little holes that are in there so that we're going to be able to stitch everything out. Now I'm going to try a different one of the felts that's not the stiff kind, and we're going to see how that one does. So I've got a lot of the things die cut out. I am going on to a different type of felt though. This is, I believe it's Kunin felt. I will review and let you guys know, but I believe this is Kunin felt, and it has a sticky back. I figured that would probably work okay with my candy canes because this is going to go over the top of them, and I'm still going to stitch everything. And I'm using my precision base plate, and this time I'm going to go facing the blades facing down and using my magic mat to cut through. I've cut out a few other things and no problem. So we're going to go ahead and do that on this different felt. So I've got a stiffer felt, I've got a little bit thinner felt, and then I've got this sticky back felt. And again, you don't need to use all the different types of felt. I'm just doing it because I wanted the right colors. And that cut through fine. And we still got all of our little holes. Now I could probably leave the paper on there. I don't have to take it off and show the adhesive, but I probably will anyway. Because then it'll be a little more flexible. And it came off so easy. Let's see if I can get the paper back on because I don't need it off yet. Okay guys, I've already made an oops. It's easy to fix though. Here's the thing, but this just means I have pieces already ready to go for the next one. So this foam I'm using, I told you, has sticky on one side, right? Well, when we're making our candy cane, we're going to have two opposite directions, so we have front and back, right? Which means the second one you have to do, instead of having felt side up, it needs to be the release paper side up. And I didn't do that the first time, so I have extras. These are all laid out the way that they're going to go onto my little candy cane. So now I need to cut these out so that I can basically have the reverse on this one. Okay. So this should be ready to place onto our candy cane, so we know we have all the things that we need. Now this is one of the things that we kind of learned when we were doing a lot of things with paper crafting. You can do the opposite of basically any die cut shape as long as you just flip the die over and do the other side. It does mean that sometimes you don't get the exact kind of rounded edges that dies typically make, but this is going to turn out fabulous. So since we have sticky on all of these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the release paper off and I'm going to stick them down in place. And then we're going to stitch each of the white pieces onto each of our candy canes. And after we get done with both of them, then we can stitch them all together. Now, you can layer everything up and do it all at once. This is my first time using this, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be Let me move those out of the way and try to line up the lines. I'm not going to do it that way because I want to try to make sure that I don't really screw up my first one, but you know, you do you. So I'm poking out those holes so I can line this one up onto the red. So it'll be sticking on there. And this doesn't feel like it's a doesn't feel, at least at this point, like it's something that's going to really stick heavily on there. So I think, so I make sure we're line it up right. I'm going to go ahead and put my little, yeah, let's do that. I've got 2 needles. I'm going to use the needle. Actually, I have more than 2 needles, but I've got 2 needles out right now. I'm going to use 2 of the needles to line it up on the separate ends of the thing so that I hopefully will have this straight, and then we can stick it down. And the holes should all be basically in the right spot. So, of course, I changed my mind. What I decided to do instead is go ahead and do each one individually instead of putting them all down and possibly knocking them all off. And I'm going to do basically a simple stitch. So I came up from the back and I'm going to go over the top through those holes. And then I'm going to come up through the next one and do the same thing. Now you're going to notice, oops. You're going to notice that there is space in between the 2 stitches, right? We're going to come back and go back through all of them and do the same thing the opposite direction. But what I'm going to do is not put this tail in each time, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way around each of our little guys here, and then when I get done, I should be able to tie everything off in the back. And I figure if I do it this way, I can make sure that each one of them is done right and that I don't have them falling off. I don't have the sticky getting places where it doesn't need to, all of those things. And this is kind of what you'd have to do if you were doing it with felt that is not sticky, right? And I'm using white thread to adhere my white pieces onto the red so that it's not quite as obvious. You don't really see them. They'll look more seamless. So I've made my way all the way around once, and again, you can see that there are gaps in between each of the stitches. So I'm going to go back through and basically go back the opposite direction, I think. So if I put it in that, yeah, I'm going to actually go back the opposite. No, I'm not. I'm going to go over to this next one. That's what I'm going to do. I've got a corner here, so I'm going to go across to the next one, and I'm basically going to fill in all of those gaps. For one thing, it's going to make everything basically it's going to make everything more secure, but it's also going to make it look cleaner. See, having those 3 stitches together definitely looks nicer than all the ones that are kind of gapped, right? So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so we just finished that first round. I'm going to go ahead and tie this off. It doesn't have to look all nice and neat or anything because you know what? This is going to be inside our candy cane, right? And that is basically, if I can tie it, I'm trying to do a double knot to make sure it doesn't come apart. And of course, with the floss, I have a little bit more problem with that because everything tries to get tangled. Do y'all have that issue? Okay. And then we'll just trim that down. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the rest of the sections. So just like the last one, I am going to speed things up, play some music, because this is going to take a little while. So after this, we do still have our little leaves and berries and of course stitching everything together as one piece. So the way those are going to go is they're going to go together like that. Yay. And I think I'm going to use this extra piece of felt as the matting in between to make it a little bit plumper. So since this one's going to be quick and easy, I'm going to go ahead and do these little guys in the red. So I'm going to start on the inside. Okay, so I'm starting the first stitch there, and then I'm going to come back in with this one. And then go into the second hole. And then we can start just going back and forth. So I've adjusted the lights so that you can actually see what I'm doing, because I did have some issues trying to see where the stitches were on this guy when I was trying to get all the stitches right. Anyway, I think I missed a stitch and had to go back and fix it. Regardless, I don't want to do that on these. This is going to turn out pretty. I've already done one. So nice. The stitches look so nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to first come in at the bottom, come into the bottom stitch, and I am taking a look at my die to make sure I know where exactly all of the holes are. So we're going to come in on one of those. And then whichever side it is that you came in from is going to be on the inside of our leaf, okay? So we're going to layer the other on the other side of it. And the reason we're doing this is we're going to make it so that this looks great from both sides. I'm like you guys, I got this straight from Nicol Sphor from her video. So if you want to see more how to do this, be sure to check that out. I'm happy that you're checking out mine, because you know what? I'm just like you. This is my first time trying this, and I am not an expert at felt stitching. I am learning. So what we're going to do is we're going to stitch from the bottom to the top the same way we did when we were attaching the white pieces onto our candy cane. We're going to go up and down. We're going to basically have stitches like this where there's a gap all the way to the top. Okay? Don't try to go back and do a back stitch or anything like that. We're going to take care of that in a couple of minutes. But first we're going to go all the way up to the top. So let's go ahead and do that. Assuming I can put my needle in the right hole. There we go. And I'm hoping that the lighting and me zooming in has made it so that y'all can see it better, because I didn't realize changing the light a little bit would make this big of a difference. So I'm hoping that this is better. And that also means that on future videos like this, I will be changing the lighting a little bit for you guys so y'all can see it, especially when it is something that is dark like this. I've found thread that actually matches the color of my felt, which is fabulous. The threads I already had in my stash. The felt I picked up at, I think this is some that I got at Joann's. So yeah, I did not have the floss with me when I did that. Okay, so we're all the way down to the end. Okay. Now we're going to come back, but only go as far as here, because we've got our two little veins for the leaf going off from there. So we're just going to come down a couple of stitches, filling in that part that we had to skip when we made our first stitch. Okay. So now we are at the point where they join. And now we're going to go up and back on each side, just like we just did in the middle. Okay. We're just going to go up, basically do our regular stitch to the end. And then we're going to come back. If I remember right, this is kind of the same way that I did when I've done some card stitching. So you may have seen me do this before on another video. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to do the other side. So exact same thing. And come back. And join in the middle. Okay. So that looks good. This is the front. You turn it over. It looks exactly the same. It looks just... Okay, I was thinking that I had an extra string there. This is actually the string from where I'm working. But yeah, it looks exactly the same. So we're going to continue down and do the same thing the rest of the way. We're going to come down the couple of stitches down the center stalk to get to where they connect. And then we're going to go out both sides of the veins. Okay, down to the bottom here. And then we're going to go back up the other side and do that last vein. Okay, so we're going to end it here. And then we only have one stitch left on the back, but we don't need to go all the way through because we're already taken care of on the front, right? So we're going to just go through one layer with that last stitch. And then we can tie the two pieces and tie it off. And I'm just going to double knot this. And your knot should be in the center between those two layers. So now that is tied off, and then we just cut the ends and we're done. So now we're going to work again on our berries. You could glue the felt down. You could use buttons. You could use sequins. I'm going to kind of keep it simple. Well, a little bit. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not getting into my sequins, mostly because I don't know where my nice red ones are, and I'd have to go search it, and I don't want to do it. But instead, I'm going to adhere our little berries down, the ones we die cut out. We're going to be adhering those to, I think I've got a third one somewhere. Anyway, we're going to adhere those down, but we're going to tie them on, we're going to stitch them on, and we're going to tie them down with a seed bead. This is the same technique that Nicole used on her video with sequins. So I'm definitely going to be trying that one out at one point because that is just lovely. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this through. I'm going to put my needle through the center of the little felt piece, same way as you would if you were using a sequin with a hole. And then I'm going to take a seed bead. I've noticed on mine that some of them have bigger holes through them than others. So some of them will go through the needle. The needle will go through and some of them won't. Like this one does not want to go through. So I need to back it out and find another one that will. And these are just some things that I've had in my stash for a while that were part of a kit of beads from Michael's. Okay, that one went through fine. You can see the bead all the way down there, right? So now we've got it on there. I'm going to go back through the center of our berry. And that's going to basically tie everything down. So the bead is holding it all down. It kind of looks like frog eyes. Okay, distraction. So we're going to go through the last piece. Same thing. Going through the center there with the strand of floss. And this is just one strand of floss doubled over with a beading needle. So this is a smaller needle than what I used before. That also means it's sharper, and that means that you have to be careful not to poke yourself. I'm going to go all the way down with it. And then grabbing up another seed bead. I'm going to see if I can see one that's got a big enough hole. You might want to use some that are bigger than this. But this is what I have. Let's see if that one will slide. Ooh, that one actually slid down too. Fabulous. So then we're going to go around it. We're not going to go back through it. We're going to go around it and just stitch back into that circle and back through the back of our little cluster there. So now we have those guys done. And then we're just going to tie it off. Because this one is not going, you're not going to see the back on this one, so I'm not going to pay too much attention to how pretty it is on the back. Okay, let's go ahead and start putting together our candy cane. I know I've got pieces of thread all over the place. We're going to tuck all of those inside. I also had cut out an additional, by mistake, I think it may have shifted because I don't really like the way that edge looked. Anyway, we have an additional candy cane. What Nicol Sphor says that she uses batting that she cuts out with the same die. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this inside there as an extra layer. That's going to kind of fluff it up a little bit. But I'm not adding anything more than that. If you add too much, it could stretch the little the holes, and we don't want this thing falling apart, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to layer everything together, and we're going to, like we did with our berries, like we did with our which I did better, the leaves. We're going to start the stitch from the inside. So this is going to be the top. We're starting from the underside. And that's so that we can have our string be tied off on the inside. So it's not going to be seen. That is the point. Okay. So I'm going to come down into the next hole. And then instead, we're also not going to be stitching into this. I did check Nicol's video, and the batting that she was using, she didn't actually stitch into it. So we're going to stitch into the outside too. So I'm assuming that I've got it lined up pretty straight. It may not be, but I do know that I'm starting at the top of one of my white pieces. So I'm going to go into the stitch just to the top of the white on the other side. Okay. We're going to go ahead and pull it through. Again, making sure not to lose the tail. We don't want to lose the tail because we want to be able to stitch it. We want to be able to, use that to tie things off. Okay, so we're going to do the same kind of stitching we did for everything else. Okay, we're going to go one stitch at a time all the way around, and then go a second to fill everything in. And again, leaving enough of this sticking out so it'll be easy for us to tie off. And we're just going to make our way around just like we did before. Okay, isn't this guy just adorable? Again, I am following Jennifer. I'm following Nicol Sphor's instructions, and she said that she is using some cord like this one, but from Spellbinders. So I am using some cord. I don't know for sure where I got it from. I think there's even a wire inside it. Anyway, this has been in my stash for a while. So again, use what's in your stash. And she's also said, I'm going to basically do this the way that she said to do it. I am going to go about where I think I want this to hang. I want it to hang kind of from around this center point here. And I'm just taking my needle and threading it through. Actually, looks like it's working. Right through that seam. You see that? I'm going to pull this through. And then once I get it through, yay, I'm just going to tie this off at the top and trim off the excess. And now we've got where it's going to hang as an ornament. That is going to be fabulous. Yay. Anyway, I love it when things actually work the way I'm expecting them to. So I'm going to tie that pretty tight. And to be honest, I think some of the ornaments that I have this same kind of cord. It's got a little bit of a wire inside it. Don't know what it's like the Spellbinders version because I don't have it. You can see if I can pull that knot back through. Nope, it's not going to pull back through. Anyway, we've got that. And then what she used to adhere these guys on, I think this is fabulous. You can stitch these together, or you could just put them all together with some hot glue, and that's what I'm going to use this time. I've got my AdTech hot glue gun charging because this is one of their cordless ones that I've had for a couple of years and don't use it very often. I still keep it in the original box. Anyway, it's heating up nicely. I'm going to go ahead and unplug it and see if it is charged enough to work. Okay, so the light's on, so that means it's working. Perfect. And I've got a little silicone mat here, so I am going to just add my berries onto my leaves, kind of make a little cluster there. So I want the leaves to be kind of like that. She also used some ribbon. I may do that on a future one, but I'm not doing that on this one. I'm just going to add a little dab of hot glue right there to attach my leaves together. And it is a little hot. And then I'm going to add our little berry cluster to the front of that. There we go. So now we have our little cluster there, and need to decide, do I want it with the cane facing to the right or to the left? I don't think it matters. I think it looks great either way. So let's put it on this side. And I'm just going to put some glue down. I'm probably using more glue than is needed because I don't use hot glue very often. And we're going to just put that down. And now our candy cane ornament is all done and ready to go on my tree once I get the tree up. Anyway, I think this is super cute. And you could also make a couple more. I may do that actually. I may go back and decide to make some more of the leaves. They were real quick and easy, the leaves and berries, and put one on the back. That way it looks great either way. But I think that is totally adorable. Well, you guys have a wonderful day. That is the first of the Felt and Create collection that I've used so far. I'm already working on the deer, so we shall see how quickly I can get that video up because it's a lot more stitching. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.